All right, welcome back to Nittany No Huddle. What a disgusting, sloppy win, but we'll take a win where you can get one. This one's probably going to be pretty quick, probably as quick as most of our possessions with the ball running. So we'll hit it off. Obviously, big talking point is our turnovers. Zach, I'll turn it over to you first. What'd you think about our 5 turnovers? And is some of this just bad weather game, or should we be concerned moving into the bye week?
Good question. I guess we'll find out moving forward because I think we saw Penn State through the first 4 games that did a great job. And we've talked about this throughout. Did do a great job in terms of the turnover battle, not just forcing turnover. Yeah, I think you saw through the first 4 games of Penn State offense that really took control of the ball, took ball security. It was a key component of the first 4 games. I don't think we had a fumble. I think we had 1 or 2 interceptions. And today, obviously, it went the other way. The big thing for me and Dan Orlovsky, who was calling the game, actually hit on this. He and I'm not quite as cavalier as him, but he said, I don't care about turnovers. I care about what happens after you turn over the ball. And so Penn State really got away with it. And I don't think that's going to happen against better teams. But the defense, we talk about complementary football. The defense stepped up really. I mean, the defense dominated the whole game other than one drive, but especially after the turnovers, Northwestern did absolutely nothing with the ball. So, part of it is you had 3 running backs, all of whom fumbled the ball, and you saw the play colors just kind of rotating guys in there, and it's like, who do you turn to by the end of the game? It's kind of like who's the guy that you put in there that you trust, because
Evan Ford.
and I guess he wasn't even in the rotation today, but every one of the running backs had at least one fumble, and Singleton early on, ball security was a problem. They hit a fumble that they had blown the whistle dead, and so it's a problem to watch moving forward. I think it could be just a minor blip in the radar. One of those things we look back and say it was just really bad weather, and we'll take care of the ball moving forward. But something that you can get away with against a Northwestern, but probably not getting away with 5 turnovers against many of the other teams on the schedule.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think we're probably lucky to be 4-0 in it, having 5 turnovers in one single game. Usually that leads to a loss in any of the other opponents we play. So luckily Northwestern's offense was pretty abysmal as well. So Devin, what do you think?
Yeah, I really want to chalk it up to the weather and the inexperience of the running backs. Like Zach said, and maybe that was before we started. I don't really remember, but other than the fumbles, I thought the running game was pretty solid. Singleton hit some good holes and was aggressive. Katron Allen, which can't wait to hear what Franklin says, why he didn't play a single snap in the first half, what he did this week to get in trouble, or who he punched in the face at practice, or what happened. But
We're not
whatever
at
happened to
practice,
him,
remember.
I know. Whatever happened to him, he had 21 carries in the second half, which we've been saying all year that we need to get a running back with 20 carries. He had 21 and a half. So it proves that we can run the ball. 58 carries out of a Penn State running team, or a Penn State football team. Like, I couldn't even imagine us having 58 rushing attempts in the
Yeah.
last 5 years, whatever, since Saquon left. And we could have fed him 50 times probably. But it's just, to me, it's mind blowing that we fumbled the ball that much. And like I said, I really, really want to chalk it up to, there was times where it looked like it was raining really hard. And obviously TV cameras are so hard to tell that. I know, like, night situations, it's really hard to tell on camera how dark it is. It's really hard to tell how hard it's really raining. And Singleton and Allen are freshmen that have always been better than the people they're playing against. They've probably, until this year, have never really worked on carrying the ball securely. So I'm going to chalk it up to those things, hopefully. But at least we can run the ball if we don't fumble it.
Yeah. And
Also, best joke I read on Twitter today,
hmm,
Beaver Stadium started selling beer today. I'm sure you both saw that first regular season game with beer. And it said, I don't know who snuck the running back some beers pre-gamed, but they should be fired.
well, yeah, they're also
Made me
serving
laugh.
minors, so
Exactly. But it just made me laugh. So
that is a good one. At
thankfully,
least we can smile once during this podcast.
yeah.
So.
I will say a couple of the fumbles, not to, we got to give some credit to Northwestern. A couple of them were just not good technique, but there was 2 that I'm recalling where it was just a Northwestern defender that just put his hat right on the ball. And so sometimes it's, you look back and it just is weather conditions, but sometimes the other team just comes up and makes plays too. And,
Yeah, they're all college football players. It's not
right.
like it's just a bunch of scrubs out there, as some people would think, though. Yeah, I mean, the turnover game is is obviously what everyone's going to be talking about. And then the other thing people are probably going to be talking about is Clifford didn't exactly play great today, but he managed the game pretty well. I think our play calling on offense was kind of pretty terrible at times, especially short distance, third downs and fourth downs. I feel like we have certain plays that have worked great over the last couple games, especially those wishbone formations and quarterback sneaks. We didn't do that once I think we did the wishbone once on fourth down, but I'd like to see that more than going from shotgun on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Zach, what do you think? Nope, I think he's frozen again. He's in the eye of the hurricane.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah,
yes.
I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on our play calling on 3rd and 4th down?
Yeah, so I think generally speaking, just from a macro level, the fact that we ran the ball, I think we had 58 carries, including a couple of kneel downs at the end. So 58, 55 carries, we'll say 56 carries to 20 passes thrown by Clifford. That's kind of what I was hoping for today, even not accounting for the weather, but with the weather, I think that's probably a good mix. I did think there was a number of designed pass plays where we were having Clifford throw on the run. And I think with in today's day and age, with the amount of footballs that they throw into the game and the number of towels on the sideline, you don't have to like not throw the ball. I think you just have to be careful with what you're asking of the quarterback on a wet field, wet surface. A lot of times they get tackled and their entire body is wet. And so keeping their hands dry, I think maybe it needed to be a little bit more simple early on. I think they did a good job just throwing a bunch of hitches and slants, which were a good way to get Clifford kind of warmed up and acclimated. But I don't know. It's tough. It's not a good day to be an offensive play caller in those types of conditions, because no matter what you do, you're kind of asking for somebody's going to be sour grapes and say, well, you threw too much. It's raining. Let's not throw. And then the other half of the fan base will say, well, just because it's raining doesn't mean you can't throw the ball. So we got too conservative and we ran the ball too much. So it's kind of a lose-lose scenario. Yeah. I think the balance, again, as far as the numbers, the balance is exactly what I was looking for. I'm ecstatic. With the exception of the fumbles, the way we ran the ball, I feel pretty good about. We didn't really break off any long ones, but it was just sort of like a consistent 4 or 5 yards. And you referenced, or both of you referenced, Katron Allen. In the first half, it was like, where is he? Because this is exactly the type of game that I think he can really have success in. Not to say Singleton can't, but I think in that weather, a little bit of what Singleton offers you that nobody else can is sort of mitigated by the weather. And it just felt like this would be a great game for Allen, like a one-cut downhill running back. And so maybe we'll find out what happened, but
probably not. But Devin, do you have the stats on the running backs by chance?
Yeah, I have them up. Do you just want their touches?
Yeah, you just want to go over their totals real quick.
Yeah, Singleton 21 carries, 87 yards and a touchdown. Allen 21 carries, 86 yards, no touchdowns. Lee 10 carries for 40 yards, and then Clifford 3 carries for 13 yards. So Singleton and Allen basically had the exact same game, except for Singleton got a touchdown. Which, by the way, on that touchdown run, huge shout out to Landon Tangwall. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he had one hell of a block on there that really opened it up for Singleton to score. So
absolutely,
without him, without that block, I don't think Singleton gets in. Sure, great second effort too, because he still got hit a little bit, but that was a crazy block.
Yeah, and all the running backs did fumble, but some of those drives, like, we probably go down and at least get points out of if we don't fumble. So maybe it's a bit of an overreaction. I guess that's the point of this, but I don't know. I felt disgusted by the game. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those games that doesn't make you feel good moving into Michigan. Well, we got the bye week to kind of short things up, but it didn't look pretty. That's for sure. And it doesn't make me feel good about having Penn State in my top 4 this week. Maybe they'll be out of the top 10 this week. I don't know. Gotta see how everything shakes out. But like you guys said, I don't know how much, to put into was it the weather? Was it a combination of weather? Maybe a little bit of a trap game, being 25-point favorites.
And you said in our pregame, like, Northwestern always comes ready to play. It doesn't matter. Like, obviously this Northwestern team is terrible. They're really bad. But they're always ready to play, and they're not going to give in no matter who's on the other sidelines. Like, they're going to do their best, and they gave it today.
And they don't quit.
Penn State was just lucky to be better, I think.
Yeah, more talent.
And defense. And Zach, I'm sure you probably want to hit on defense a little bit too, but like the defense was just outstanding today. It truly was outstanding. Northwestern had -9 rushing yards in the second half as a team. -9.
Crazy.
Yeah, which is just incredible. So the offense can have a bad game whenever the defense plays as well as they did. Tarberton played excellent. Johnny Dixon made a huge play there. Jair Brown probably played his second best game of the season. I thought he played pretty well. Still some things to sure up, but the defense played so well today.
Yeah. And
I think you're definitely right, Devin. You hit on the defense. That's something I want to get into for sure. But speaking about Northwestern, I saw something before the game that was Pat Fitzgerald's record is like in September, since I forget what the date was, like 2016 or something. They have been atrocious in September. They've just been bad in the non-con. And so again, with that effort you saw today, I wonder if this is one of those things where you look around the Big Ten West and it's kind of like, not saying Northwestern's going to Indianapolis, but I fully expect that they have the ability to compete and make a lot of close games especially with inside the Big Ten West. I don't know offensively if they have quite enough juice to really get into the mix towards the top, but there's just something about Northwestern. It seems like they struggle in the non-con, but Pat Fitzgerald, just maybe because he's been around for so long in the Big Ten, he just knows when the clock strikes October and you start playing Big Ten games, they get tougher. They get up for those games, and we'll see. Something to watch
after losing, 3 non-conf or 3 games, right? All three non-confs that they lost.
Yeah.
Like I think they came ready to play today. So
well, I think we're all former athletes and competitors and different things. I think it's really easy to get up for. It's hard, at some level, but it's hard to get up when you're not. We've never played at that level, but like if you're playing Southern Illinois, I don't care who you are, how talented you are, is really hard to get amped up for that game. But you go into a Big Ten venue and you're 25-point underdogs. Like, it's really easy to use that as sort of bulletin board material to show up and say, like, we should not be getting 25 points against anybody in this conference. We can play too. And so I think there's a little bit of that going on.
Yeah, it's like trying to get up and get ready to play Fan at Metal, you just for all our Central PA people. But yeah, I think Northwestern always plays this tough. So it's one of those, I kind of was expecting a closer game. I just was disappointed by how bad our turnovers looked, and just overall, like, I felt like that was a game we could have lost, to be honest. So
it started to kind of feel like that towards the end. My prediction going in, I thought we'd see more points from both teams. Maybe I didn't account for the weather, but I thought with Northwestern's offense would be a little bit more competent. So maybe that's a great segue into Devin already started it off a little bit with the defense. I thought you had a lot of guys played really well today. I mean, there's a lot of names just from the front seven. It just felt like we were getting great push. For the most part, we were getting to Helinski. We made them throw. Maybe the biggest thing is we made them throw 37 times in that weather. And Evan Hall, everybody knew who Evan Hall was coming into the game. 11 carries.
Enough touches.
He didn't get enough touches, but even when he got the ball, 11 carries for 45 yards. And he had he burst one long run down the left side for 29. So in his other 10 carries, he had 16 yards. So he just was completely bottled up. And I think they tried to get him the ball in the passing game, but they were not nearly successful enough in terms of screens and throws to the flat. Just,
I think part of that too is if you rewatch the tape, we definitely had a lot of not screens, but basically we were shadowing him.
We were prepared for him to be a target. Yeah,
exactly. So like we were spying him, put a spy on him essentially just to follow him wherever he went. But yeah, overall the defense played very well. The front seven was awesome. Devin, do you have the stat line on our defense?
I have the ESPN box score up. I don't have the full box score.
I don't know if you had like how many like sacks we got or anything like that.
Yeah, to me, it didn't feel like we got a lot of sacks, but I felt like we were always in the backfield.
Yeah, like they never got positive yards on carries.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it too, Zach. That Hull had a 29-yard carry. So that means the rest of the game they had 27 carries for 2 yards because they had 28 carries, 31 yards.
Some of that is the college stats where they attribute rushing yards to the quarterback or like a bad snap or two, but we
really only had -10. Right. -10 rush yards for Helinski. That's it.
So yeah, I mean they could not run the ball. And then from a passing standpoint, like I said, I don't think we had a lot of sacks. We'll check the box score for the next podcast, but I feel like we got a lot of pressure though. And a lot of times you're not actually getting sacks, but you're still contributing to the quarterback missing his throws or not being able to step up into the pocket. And I feel like we had, you could go across the board. I felt like Chop Robinson was really active. I felt like PJ Mustipher and Hakeem Beamon at the defensive tackle spot both had really good games. And a lot of that is somewhat unseen. But a lot of those, like the fourth down stop at the goal line, that's all those two guys right in the middle. And I have to go back and watch. I'm assuming it was Mustipher and Beeman. But if you're stopping the quarterback sneak at the goal line, it all starts with those two tackles blowing everything backwards. Beeman, if I think it was Northwestern's maybe second to last drive when they still kind of had some life. Beeman swatted down 2 passes in a row from the D tackle spot, which was great. So that's showing, an understanding that I'm not going to get home, but I can still read the quarterback and make a play. So I just pretty much across the board defensively was great, but the front seven really answered the bell. One thing, I'm kind of rambling here, but one thing I do want to mention is you didn't hear Joey Porter's name at all. There was one play where I think maybe he actually committed pass interference and they didn't call it, but I felt like they really weren't targeting him. And I feel like Kalen King is really starting to come into his own as well. So it feels like if teams are going to attack us downfield, they're not going to do so on the outsides and the flanks. And you saw that with Northwestern. I think most of their passing success was kind of dinking and dunking to the tight ends or crossing routes across the middle. And I think teams are just kind of staying away from Porter and King on the outside. So I think that's something going forward. If you're Penn State, maybe you start to adjust and try to game plan around taking some of that away, knowing or feeling safe that you've got 2 corners on the outsides that can really lock things down.
Yeah, and I will say our defense has grown exponentially since that first Purdue game. And, you play that game now, I think the score will probably be a little bit different, but
perhaps. I mean, Purdue might say the same thing too after their result today, but it's so hard to make heads or tails about what Purdue is.
Yeah,
they're
just Purdue. They're classic Purdue. But yeah, so the only other thing I really want to talk about is I think we have the best punter in the country, and it's not even close, to be honest. Barney Moore, another fantastic game. I don't know how many punts he had today, but I can recall at least, I think 3 out of 4 that I can recall off the top of my head were inside the 10. So Devin, I don't know.
And one that wasn't, he punted from our 10 and got to their 35 or whatever it was. Yeah. So he's an outstanding punt in the rain.
I will say too, it's not just on him either. Our punt protection has been phenomenal as well. If you actually watch the punts, he has the ball in his hand for quite a long time. So, but the protection's been so good, he can take his time, go through his full progression, and just absolutely stick it where he needs to. And
it's all connected. You referenced the time that he has. He doesn't have to punt it really quickly, which allows the gunners to get down there. And,
right.
And everything's clicking because you see the gunners are getting down there. They're not buying the punt returners fakes. They know where he's punting it. They know the time in the air, and they find the ball. And it's all kind of a very smooth operation. And that makes you feel a lot better. Obviously we have the bye week, but for example, the Michigan game coming up where, maybe the offense struggles at points, but knowing that you have a punter that can at least give your defense some breathing room and isn't going to shank the ball out of bounds or isn't going to kick it low and make it returnable. That's such a huge asset. And
especially in bad weather like it was today, being able to punt the ball is fantastic. And I mean, he was sticking it right down in between the 10 and the goal line, almost every punt that was in range. So
I've got him. They have him for 5 punts for 200 yards. And 4 of the 5 are inside the 20.
So 4 of the 5 were inside the 10.
Probably, yeah. They don't have the inside the 10, but I mean, and a lot of those punts were from midfield or from a lot of them hit the average isn't more because he didn't need to kick it far.
Yeah.
But he seems like a guy that can do both. It seems like he has the leg to get you a long punt if you need it, and also obviously has the ability to drop it inside the 15-10 yard line like he's been doing with regularity. And if we're talking special teams, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Jake Pinnaker. He's obviously taken some lumps from the fan base over from the podcast as well. It felt like a game that was never really in doubt, but there was a moment in that game where it kind of was started to become a game again, and that was after Northwestern scored, made it 14-7. In hindsight, it doesn't seem like a lot, but that field goal in that moment, I think it was a 38-yarder to make it 17-7. the way that Penn State's defense was playing, the difference between a 7-point lead and a 10-point lead felt like insurmountable. So that was a huge kick for a guy that struggled a little bit, and it wasn't a short one. I mean, 38's not super long, but it wasn't a
Not a
gimme.
gimme.
That was a big kick, and I feel like we got to tip our cap to him a little bit there.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, this could be, getting into the mind of the kicker a little too much, but he might be one of the guys too who's like, oh, if it's not like the game on the line, like I might just go through the motions kind of thing. And that's where, I mean, we've seen him miss some field goals that weren't that important. And then,
part of,
okay.
I mean to catch up, but part of like the kicking unit too is like we always say we're not in practice. And so like there could be minor things thrown off, like the snap is not just right, which makes maybe the holder doesn't have the ball set like normal. And so there's the whole operation. It's not always easy. I mean, it's easy to see on TV when it's truly a bad snap, but sometimes there are things that could be just off a little bit where the kicker isn't solely the one to blame. And you don't know that, but
laces out,
again, right. Something like that, where on TV, maybe you can't see it, but if something was off other than the kicker's kick. And so, but again, there was a huge kick because, it just felt like Northwestern wasn't going to score twice after that. And so for him to get us to from 7 to 10 was a really big moment in that game.
Yeah, I agree. I think he did what was needed in that moment, and that was a big kick. So, Devin, you got anything to crap on Pinniger about today or no?
I mean, he made a field goal that he should have made.
His job.
Yeah, he did his job. I mean, Zach said it before, like, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 podcasts ago. Like, kickers are tough because you're all or nothing. You either do your job or you're horrible. I still don't think Jake Pinniger is that good, but he did what he needed to do today. He made 2 extra points and a field goal. And so kudos to you, I guess.
Yeah. He also might.
I'll buy a candy bar.
Yeah. He might soon be Penn State's all-time scorer, I think, too. They were talking about that today.
Yeah,
I didn't even hear that. Must have been when I wasn't watching.
When you tuned out for a little bit.
Yeah, couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I forget where they said he's on the list, like second or third
or fourth. But
yeah, he did. This is his 3rd year as a starting kicker, so that would make sense because he was 2 years and then lost it for a year and a half, then got it back.
Yeah. No. There you go. Could be a all-time scorer. So, yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else really wanted to cover.
I don't have any other notes written down.
Speaking of cover, there is one thing I wanted to mention. My super dog of the week, Illinois, marched into Madison and spanked the Badgers. I had to feel really good for Brett Bielema, the former Wisconsin coach. But
is Illinois good?
No.
Is anybody in the West big?
Is anybody in college football good?
There's going to be some shakeups in our top 10s. Obviously, Kentucky went down. Minnesota, who at least a couple of us were pretty high on, went down and really, frankly, looked bad. I don't know if either of you watched.
I watched like part of the game, and it was like the atmosphere just felt terrible. It's like Purdue, the fans knew they were going to lose like in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, like Purdue won the game ostensibly, but like it just was not a very good game all around. But we'll see.
If you want to know, Zach, since I have it right in front of me, headed into the last game of our pick'ems, NC State Clemson. You are 5-2 for the day. I'm 4-3. And
I'm probably 0-5.
Jordo's 2-5. So I at least picked up 2 games, guaranteed. I picked up 2 games on Jordan because we both picked NC State in the nightcap. And hopefully NC State can beat Clemson so that I at least stay even with you and don't fall one more game behind.
I can't remember. Did we have LSU Auburn on the list?
We did not. No, that wasn't one of our. The only game we have left that hasn't gone final yet is NC State. I mean,
would anybody pick Auburn? Like,
no, they're winning right now, but
what?
Oh, they're up 7-0. Yeah.
Well, Penn State's good again. Auburn's beating LSU means Penn State's actually good again.
Well, we'll leave it with this. At least we're not Oklahoma.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, I'll take that all day. Yeah. I think that's about it. Sorry for the lack of excitement. I just wasn't a good game to be excited about. At least we get a week off. We can kind of reload. Big game against Michigan coming up. That's going to be a good watch. I don't know who Michigan plays next week. I don't know if either of you guys know.
Off the top of my head,
they have Illinois, actually. No, I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I know they play. They definitely don't have a bye. I know that they play.
Yeah, I don't know. But hopefully they're they're both undefeated. So, well, we'll be undefeated, but hopefully they are as well. And maybe we'll go into Ann Arbor and get a win. I could see it being a close game. Go
Michigan
ahead.
plays at Indiana.
Should get that one.
Should
Trap
get that
game.
one. You never know on the road. Indiana has a road game tonight at Nebraska, I think.
And they got Penix, right?
No, they
Just kidding.
got rid of him.
Yeah, he was at Washington throwing interceptions last night for me. But yeah, so that'll wrap it up. If you guys don't have anything else, we're going to sign off here. We'll see you later this week for our recap.
Thanks for watching the Nittany No Huddle podcast. Check us out on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Podcasts are posted weekly on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss one of our new shows.